Long ago, before kings and empires, people in India traded goods. They might swap a bag of rice for a clay pot, or perhaps they would trade a cow for a fine piece of cloth. This was barter. It worked, but it was not always easy. What if the potter did not want your rice? What if the cloth weaver already had enough cows? People needed something that everyone would accept, something small, valuable, and easy to carry. They needed money, and in ancient India, around the 6th century BCE, that money was often made of silver. This was a revolutionary idea that would change the subcontinent forever. Why silver? Silver was special. It was rare, but not too rare. It was beautiful, with a bright, shining surface that did not easily tarnish or rust. You could melt it down and shape it. You could stamp it with a mark to prove its worth. People saw silver as a store of value. A small piece of silver could represent the value of many bags of rice. This made trade much simpler. Instead of carrying heavy goods to the market, a merchant could carry a small bag of silver pieces. This simple change sparked a boom in trade across the land, connecting villages and towns like never before. The very first Indian coins were not perfectly round like the coins we use today. They were odd shapes. Some were square, some were rectangular, and others were just uneven lumps of metal. Craftsmen would take a bar of silver and cut it into pieces of a specific weight. To show that these pieces were genuine, they would be stamped with symbols. These marks were a guarantee from the local ruler or merchant guild. They told everyone that this piece of silver had the correct weight and purity. These early coins are called punch-marked coins because of the way they were made. Imagine a bustling marketplace in the Gangetic Plains over 2,500 years ago. The air is thick with the smell of spices and dust. Merchants shout their prices and buyers haggle with energy. In the middle of it all, hands exchange these small, curious pieces of silver. A farmer sells his surplus grain and receives a few silver coins. He then uses those coins to buy a new tool from a blacksmith. The blacksmith in turn uses the coins to buy food for his family. The silver flows from person to person, a river of commerce. This was the beginning of India's long and fascinating love affair with silver money, a journey that would mirror its own complex history. The first silver coins of India were not just money, they were storytellers. They did not have the faces of kings or written words like modern coins. Instead, they were covered in a fascinating collection of symbols. These were the punch marks. Think of them as a kind of code. Each symbol had a meaning. A local kingdom, known as a Janapada, would have its own unique set of marks. This helped people identify where the coin came from. A coin from the kingdom of Magadha would have different symbols from a coin from Gandhara, a region in the northwest. These marks were the silent language of ancient Indian commerce. What did these symbols look like? They were a beautiful mix of nature, geometry, and religion. You might find a sun, a symbol of power and life, or you might see a six-armed symbol, which scholars believe could be a representation of a wheel or a complex religious idea. Animals were very popular. Elephants, bulls, and fish were common sights on these silver pieces. Each animal might represent the power of the king, the wealth of the land, or a sacred belief. Geometric patterns like dots, circles, and crescents were also used. Each coin could have up to 5 or more different symbols stamped onto its surface, creating a miniature work of abstract art. Making these coins was a craft in itself. A silversmith would flatten a piece of silver of a set weight. Then, using different punches, each carved with a single symbol, they would strike the metal. This is why the symbols often overlap and are not perfectly arranged. It gives the coins a rustic, handmade charm. It also tells a story of their creation. Sometimes, you can even see how one symbol was stamped over another. This might have happened when a new ruler took over and wanted to add his own mark to the existing currency. A powerful statement of his new authority, without the cost of melting everything down. For historians and archaeologists, these punch-marked coins are a treasure trove of information. Because there is no writing on them, the symbols are the only clues we have. By studying which symbols appear together and where the coins are found, Scholars can map out ancient trade routes. They can learn about the rise and fall of forgotten kingdoms. A hoard of coins found in a remote village can tell us that it was once a thriving market town. These small pieces of silver are like tiny time capsules. They connect us directly to the world of ancient India, a world of vibrant trade, powerful local rulers, and deep spiritual beliefs. The small kingdoms of India eventually gave way to a mighty empire. This was the Mauryan Empire, which rose in the 4th century BCE. Its most famous rulers were Chandragupta Maurya and his grandson, Ashoka the Great. The Mauryans united a vast part of the Indian subcontinent for the first time. To rule such a huge territory, they needed a single, reliable currency. They took the idea of punch-marked silver coins and scaled it up. They created a standardized coinage that was used from the mountains of Afghanistan to the plains of Bengal. This was one of the first truly imperial currencies in the world. The Mauryan silver coins, known as kashapanas, were more uniform than the earlier coins. While still punch-marked, they were made to a strict weight standard of about 3.4 grams. The symbols also became more consistent. The most common symbols on Mauryan coins are the sun and the six-armed symbol. These two marks seem to represent the authority of the emperor himself. They were a stamp of imperial power, recognized by everyone across the vast empire. Other symbols, like a hill with 3 arches or an animal, might have represented a specific mint or a regional governor. This standardized currency was the lifeblood of the Mauryan economy. It paid the salaries of the empire's massive army of soldiers. It funded the construction of roads, palaces, and stupas. It made it easier for merchants to trade over long distances, knowing that a Mauryan silver coin would be accepted everywhere. The administration of this currency was a serious business. The famous text, the Arthashastra, attributed to the Mauryan advisor Kautilya, has entire chapters on minting and how to detect counterfeit coins. It shows just how central the silver currency was to the power and stability of the state. The fall of the Mauryan Empire did not end the story of its coins. For centuries after the empire collapsed, its silver kashapanas continued to circulate. They were so trusted and well known that people kept using them. Finding Mauryan coins in later archaeological layers shows us how long their influence lasted. It is a testament to the quality and reliability of their currency. These coins were more than just money. They were a lasting legacy of India's first great empire. They represented an idea of unity and order that would inspire Indian rulers for generations to come, a silver thread connecting the subcontinent. After the Mauryan Empire faded, India's northwest frontier became a crossroads of cultures. Armies and traders from the west brought new ideas, and these ideas were stamped directly onto their coins. The first to arrive were the Indo-Greeks, descendants of Alexander the Great's army. They ruled kingdoms in what is now Afghanistan and Pakistan around the 2nd century BCE. Their coins were unlike anything India had seen before. They were beautifully crafted, perfectly round, and featured realistic portraits of their kings. This was a dramatic change from the symbolic punch-marked coins. For the first time, a human face appeared on Indian currency. The Indo-Greek kings used their coins as a form of propaganda. On one side, you would see a stunningly detailed portrait of the ruler, often wearing a helmet or a diadem. It showed him as a powerful, heroic figure. On the other side, they placed images of Greek gods like Zeus or Heracles. But they were smart. To appeal to their Indian subjects, they also included Indian elements. They wrote their names in both Greek and the local Indian script, Kharosthi. Sometimes they even included Indian deities or symbols. This fusion of Greek and Indian art created some of the most beautiful coins in history. Following the Greeks came other groups from Central Asia, like the Scythians, also known as Sakas, and the Parthians. They conquered the Greek kingdoms and continued the tradition of issuing silver coins with portraits. Their portraits were often less realistic and more stylized, but the basic idea remained. They showed the king on horseback or sitting on a throne. They also continued to use both Greek and Indian languages on their coins. This bilingual and bicultural coinage shows how these foreign rulers were trying to bridge the gap between their own culture and the culture of the people they ruled. The coins were a tool for communication and legitimacy. Then came the Kushans, another powerful empire that emerged from Central Asia in the 1st century CE. While they are more famous for their gold coins, they also issued silver currency. The Kushan coins are a fascinating religious gallery. Their most famous king, Kanishka, was a patron of Buddhism. His coins often feature an image of the Buddha, one of the earliest known representations of the Buddha in human form. But they also included a huge variety of other gods from Greek, Iranian, and Indian traditions. A single Kushan king might issue coins with images of a dozen different deities, a reflection of the diverse cosmopolitan world they ruled. After centuries of foreign influence and political fragmentation, a new native Indian empire rose to power in the 4th century CE. This was the Gupta Empire. The Gupta period is often called the Golden Age of India because of its incredible achievements in science, mathematics, and the arts. And you know, this artistic excellence is perfectly captured in their coins. The Gupta emperors, particularly Chandragupta II, expanded their empire westward. They conquered the lands of the western satraps, who were descendants of the Scythians. By doing so, they took control of a region with a long tradition of silver coinage. The Guptas decided to issue their own silver coins, but they did not just copy the old designs. Instead, they infused them with their unique artistic style. They kept the idea of putting the king's portrait on the front. However, the Gupta portraits are not just realistic, they are idealized. The king is shown as a divine, majestic figure, the perfect ruler. The art is refined and elegant, with incredible attention to detail in the king's hair, jewelry, and expression. The Gupta artists had mastered the craft of dye engraving, creating miniature sculptures in metal that celebrated the glory of their emperor. On the reverse side of their silver coins, the Guptas replaced the old Scythian symbols with something purely Indian. They chose the image of Garuda, the mythical eagle-like bird that was the sacred vehicle of the Hindu god Vishnu. The Guptas were devout followers of Vishnu, and placing Garuda on their coins was a clear statement of their religious faith and royal patronage. The image of Garuda is dynamic and powerful, a symbol of the strength and reach of the Gupta Empire. It became the dynasty's official emblem, a mark of Gupta sovereignty recognized across their lands. These silver coins were not just for large transactions, they were used in the daily lives of people in the western provinces of the empire, like Gujarat and Malwa. They were a constant reminder of who was in charge. Every time someone used a coin to buy goods, they held a piece of imperial propaganda in their hand. It carried the face of their powerful emperor and the symbol of his divine protector. The Gupta silver coins are more than just currency. They are masterpieces of classical Indian art. They show a civilization at the peak of its confidence, creativity, and power, a true golden age captured in gleaming silver. The arrival of Islamic rule in India, beginning with the Delhi Sultanate in the 13th century, brought profound changes to coinage. The new rulers came from a Turco-Persian tradition that had very different ideas about what a coin should look like. Islamic tradition generally forbade the use of portraits of living beings on coins. So, the faces of kings and the images of gods and animals disappeared completely. In their place came beautiful and intricate calligraphy. The entire surface of the coin, from edge to edge, was covered with writing. The coin became a canvas for the word of God. The silver coins of the Delhi Sultans, called tankas, were pieces of religious and political declaration. The inscriptions were usually in Arabic or Persian. On one side, the coin would typically proclaim the kalima, the basic creed of Islam. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his prophet. It was a powerful assertion of faith. The other side would name the ruling sultan, often with a list of grand titles, like the Mighty Sultan or the Defender of the Faith. It would also name the mint city where the coin was made and the year of its issue according to the Islamic calendar. This provided a wealth of precise historical information. Some sultans used their coins in very creative ways. Muhammad bin Tughlaq, a brilliant but eccentric ruler of the 14th century, is famous for his experiments with currency. He issued forced token currency in brass and copper, a move that ended in economic disaster. But his silver and gold coins were of excellent quality and beautiful design. He sometimes replaced the kalima with his own grand titles, proclaiming himself the warrior in the cause of God. Another powerful ruler, Alauddin Khilji, stamped his coins with the title the Second Alexander, a clear statement of his vast ambitions to conquer the world, just like the ancient Greek hero. The Mughal Empire, which was established in the 16th century, continued and perfected this tradition. The Mughals were masters of art and architecture, and their coins reflect this. The calligraphy on Mughal silver coins is often of breathtaking beauty, executed by master artists. Emperors like Akbar, Jahangir, and Shah Jahan issued coins from dozens of mints across their vast empire, a testament to their centralized control. Coins were a key tool of the imperial administration, used to collect taxes and pay the army. They were the glue that held the magnificent Mughal state together, a silver network connecting every corner of the realm. In the midst of the turbulent 16th century, a new ruler briefly interrupted Mughal rule. His name was Sher Shah Suri. He was a brilliant administrator and military strategist who ruled for only 5 years, from 1540 to 1545. But in that short time, he introduced reforms that would shape India for centuries. One of his most important reforms was to overhaul the currency system. He introduced a new, high-quality silver coin. It was called the rupiah. This was the direct ancestor of the modern Indian rupee. Sher Shah Suri's rupiah was a coin of remarkable purity and standardized weight. The silver rupiah weighed approximately 11.5 grams, a standard that remained remarkably consistent for over 300 years. This reliability made it incredibly popular with merchants and the general public. People trusted the coin. Sher Shah Suri also continued the tradition of using calligraphy. His coins featured his name and titles, as well as the mint location and date. But he also added his name in the local Nagari script, a gesture to his non-Muslim subjects. This simple, well-made and reliable coin quickly became the backbone of the North Indian economy. It was a stroke of administrative genius. When the Mughals returned to power under Emperor Akbar, they recognized the brilliance of Sher Shah's system. Instead of replacing it, they adopted and expanded it. The silver rupiah became the standard currency of the mighty Mughal Empire. Mughal emperors issued billions of these coins from mints all over the subcontinent. They became famous for their quality and beautiful calligraphy. The Emperor Jahangir, a great lover of art, even issued a famous series of zodiac coins, replacing the usual inscriptions with images of the 12 astrological signs. These are now among the most prized and valuable of all Indian coins. The influence of the Mughal silver rupee was immense. It became one of the most widely recognized and accepted currencies in the world at the time. Traders carried it from Central Asia to Southeast Asia and even to Europe. European trading companies, like the British East India Company, were so impressed by the Mughal rupee that when they started making their own coins in India, they copied its weight and purity. The name rupee itself, born from Sher Shah Suri's vision, would endure through the fall of the Mughals, the rise of the British, and into the modern era. It is one of the greatest success stories in the history of money. As the Mughal Empire weakened in the 18th century, regional powers and European trading companies began to mint their own coins. The most powerful of these was the British East India Company. At first, they issued coins in the name of the Mughal emperor to ensure they would be accepted. These coins looked very similar to the late Mughal rupees, but as the company's power grew, they began to change the designs. The beautiful calligraphy started to disappear. In its place, the British introduced their own symbols, like the coat of arms of the East India Company. The coin was becoming a tool of colonial power. A major change came in 1835. The British introduced a standardized currency for all of British India. The silver rupee was kept as the main coin, but its design was completely transformed. The Persian and Arabic inscriptions were gone. On one side was the portrait of the reigning British monarch, starting with King William IV. On the other side was the value, 1 rupee, written in English and Persian. For the first time in centuries, a human portrait was back on the main currency of India, but it was not the face of an Indian ruler. It was the face of a distant king-emperor from across the sea. This design, with the British monarch on the front, continued for over 100 years. The portraits changed as new rulers came to the throne. Queen Victoria, King Edward VII, King George V, and King George VI. For generations of Indians, these silver coins were a part of daily life. They were a constant, tangible symbol of British rule. However, the story of silver in Indian coinage was coming to an end. During World War I and World War II, the price of silver metal shot up. It became too expensive to use for making coins. The British government began to reduce the silver content in the rupee until, by the end of the war, the coins were made of nickel. When India gained its independence in 1947, the new government had to create a new currency. They kept the name rupee, a link to centuries of history, but the portrait of the British king was removed. In its place, India chose a symbol of its own ancient past, the Ashoka lion capital. This powerful symbol, taken from a pillar erected by the Mauryan Emperor Ashoka over 2,000 years ago, represented a new, independent India looking back to its own glorious heritage. The era of silver currency for everyday use was over. The rupee was now made of nickel and other base metals. The long, glittering journey of the Indian silver coin had reached its final chapter. Today, in the year 2025, the silver coins of old are no longer used to buy goods in the marketplace. The jingle of silver rupees has been replaced by the quiet tap of digital payments and the rustle of paper banknotes. Yet, the story of these coins is far from over. They have been transformed from objects of commerce into objects of history. They are now prized by collectors, studied by scholars, and admired in museums around the world. Each coin is a miniature document, a physical link to a bygone era. To hold an ancient punch-marked coin or a Mughal rupee is to hold a piece of history in your hand. The market for collecting Indian silver coins is vibrant and global. Collectors seek out rare pieces like Jahangir's zodiac coins or the beautiful portraits of the Indo-Greek kings. They appreciate the coins for their artistic beauty, their historical significance, and the stories they tell. A single rare coin can be worth thousands of dollars at auction. This has also led to a sad problem: the rise of fakes and forgeries. Experts must use their knowledge of metallurgy, style, and history to tell the difference between a genuine artifact and a modern copy. The science of numismatics, the study of coins, is more important than ever. Beyond the world of collectors, silver still holds a special place in Indian culture. During festivals like Diwali, it is considered auspicious to buy precious metals. Many people buy silver coins, not ancient ones, but modern bullion coins produced by the government and private mints. These coins often feature images of Hindu deities like Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, or Ganesha, the remover of obstacles. This tradition connects modern Indians to their ancestors, who also saw silver as a store of value and a symbol of prosperity. It is a cultural echo that has lasted for millennia. The fascinating journey of Indian silver coins is a mirror of the history of India itself. It is a story of native innovation and foreign influence, of mighty empires and artistic genius, of changing faiths and enduring traditions. From the first crude lumps of stamped silver to the elegant rupees of the British Raj, these coins tell a story of power, art, religion, and trade. They show how a simple piece of metal can carry the weight of a civilization. Though they no longer pass from hand to hand in the market, their legacy is stamped forever on the culture and history of India, a silent but shining testament to a rich and complex past.